Hi, tonight we are going to explore the frontotemporal, also known as the pterional approach, one of the most widely used cranial approaches when performing a surgery. This is compiled from the Neurosurgical Atlas by Aaron Cohen-Gadol and the book Neurosurgery Tricks of the Trade and the photo atlas of skull-based dissection. So, by the name itself, we can already deduce that the pterional approach refers to the pterion, the the meeting point between the frontal, the parietal, the sphenoid, and the zygoma and the temporal bones. So the goal is to expose the lesions in the frontal and the temporal area, including the lobes, the sylvian fissure, the circle of Willis, the cavernous sinus, and even the cellular region. So the indication is to approach the anterior and the middle fossa, and also the paracellar and cavernous lesions. Also, not to mention the clinoid and the also, we can do clipping for almost all anterior circulation aneurysms and some of the posterior circulation. Okay, so as we have said that it's the junction between the four bones, the parietal, the temporal, the sphenoid, and the frontal. So this is what you are going to see in the video that follows. This is the corridor that can be approached. For example, here we can see this is the optic chiasm, the two optic nerves, and this is the anterior cerebral artery, this is the middle cerebral artery, and all these structures can be accessed when you have dissected through the pterional approach. So the preoperative prep is also standard, but we have to first know the anatomy of the frontal, temporal, and the sylvian fissures, and also by retracting the brain with or without splitting the sylvian fissure, the circle of Willis, the optic apparatus, the third nerve, and the pituitary or hypophyse. And this is the details for the operation. The patient is positioned supine with the head fixed using a headpin or horseshoe. The headpins should be located far from the incision, and both ends of the pin should be of the same at the same height. And we should rotate the head contralaterally around 15 to 60 degrees according to our needs. The vertex should face the floor so that the zygoma face the highest position, and the thorax is elevated and head is above the heart to optimize the venous return. So the key steps of the procedure is to create an incision from the edge of the zygoma near the tragus to the midline with the curvilinear shape, just just behind to the hairline. And we should preserve the superior temporal artery. And more importantly, what we should preserve is the seventh nerve or the facial nerve, which runs along a fat pad here. So we can see this is the seventh nerve. It runs along the fat pad, and this fat pad will be dissected. So how to avoid it? The muscle should be incised along the STL to create a myofascial cuff or flap. And there are three ways to preserve the seventh nerve. The first is interfacial, the second is subfacial, and the third is myocutaneous. In this picture, we can see that the subfacial, the temporal fascia or layer, is incised parallel to the muscle fibers and separate from the muscle. Hence, containing the fascia, the fat pad, and the seventh nerve, along with the scalp here. The muscle is elevated and retracted inferiorly and posteriorly. The bone flap. For the bone flap, we can create first the keyhole. The keyhole is created exactly posterior to the orbital rim at the anterior aspect of the superior temporal line. Here we can see the superior temporal line here, and we create the keyhole just behind it. And then the second borehole can be added at the inferior aspect of the exposed part, just on the edge of the zygoma, around here. And then the third borehole can be created posterior to the keyhole along the superior temporal line around here. We can also add another one here. The bone flap is cut along the keyhole medially, as close as possible to the orbital ridge to minimize the retraction of the frontal lobe. And then we do this one, the third, and this one is performed last. Why? Because this one contains the middle meningeal artery, which is the major source of bleeding. Now we are going to move on to the practice video, but in this video we only create a single burr at the keyhole only. Today we have a model of the 3D printed skull from a real patient here, and we have balloons here and also a drill set. We will practice opening craniotomy with a specialized drill bit, and then we will try to do so not to injure the dura. We will simulate the dura using a balloon, then we will see what's inside and try a little bit of drilling. So here is the skull, and we will be doing it in the left side. We will create a borehole, and then we will advance it with a craniotomy. For the borehole, it can only be done here to the right, and place a borehole on the approximate keyhole. This is, we can see the squamous suture, and this most likely is the coronal suture around here, which makes the Pythiarian to be around somewhere around this part. We make it 1 centimeter posterior to the Pythiarian, which will be right around here, and then we will advance the craniotomy. We'll advance the craniotomy first to the here, and then here to the parietal, and then down to the temporal, which will be right around here. But our initial borehole will be here. Let's do it. It should not have stopped. You see here, there is already a cavity that makes the drill stop. We should remove this part manually. This is the cavity. By this point you will see bleeding from the bone, and you will like to put some wax over there or other materials that can seal the bone from bleeding. This is the balance. I will use it to simulate the dura. These edges are so sharp. Okay, so there's a layer of dura that we have to protect. We will open the craniotomy, and with our makeshift dural guard, we will try to protect the dura while the cranium is being drilled. Yeah, this one. This is it. Let's hold it in its original position. Don't pop the balloon at any cost. The last corridor we have yet to penetrate is here. Let's see whether we can already lift it with mechanical tools instead of electronic tools. And when you have already a cut the bone and the bone is about to be taken off, you are going to peel the dura to prevent it from getting injured. Let's just do it. It's going to be broken, but it's okay. This is the bone flap that has been removed, and this is what it would look like on the inside. The dura will be here, and the next step that you are going to do is, look at this. There is a ridge, there is the sharp edge of this temporal the temporal and sphenoid attachment. This is called the sphenoid ridge. Over here, this is sharp, and it can injure the brain. And in reality, this will represent the Sylvian fissure. This is the Sylvian fissure. In skull-base surgery, you are going to have to dissect this and drill this part so it doesn't injure the brain, and it's easier to see the skull base. Okay, let's try some more drilling. Let's see whether we can flatten the sphenoid ridge here. This drill isn't really cutting things off, but it's actually melting the plastic, so we can remove it the mechanical way easier. Done by peeling the dura and see what structures are available underneath it. Peeling the dura under the microscope, but we don't have a microscope yet. I will buy it sometime later, if not 2 years from now, maybe 3. Because it's so expensive, and I'll see whether cheaper models will be available in the next time. But for now, let's finish it here, and let's open the Dura.